Oh, hold on. Hi, Donna. I can see you. So the trick is how to, from here, I can't, right now, and I'll scoot up, but I can't, because of the way that the phone's set up just now, I can't see your direct questions. But I will see them in the playback, and I will do my best to get at them. I'm not sure if there's a way for me to see them here at the same time. We're new to this. Here we go. One. You would know there would be, first of all, you would need your glasses on. So you're no help. Eat your breakfast. That'll be better. Okay. Let me just try this for a moment, my loves. So if you like, while I'm loading this, go on my website and you'll see under resources that there are a couple little sort of thumbnails, and so that would be more, and then at the bottom of more it says resources, and on the top left it will say Abraham Hicks Emotional Guidance Scale. Okay, that I encountered recently when I was reading. It has no cover on it right now, but this is Super Attractor. And that's Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein. And the click, if you would like, she's got more information on the link right below that. And I don't know if I can log in and see this. Just trying to see if I can see your questions at the same time. Wouldn't that be handy? Nope. Okay. I cannot see. I can't see that. But let me go back. And so when I was introduced to Kundalini, I found that when I began practicing, I loved the practice. How I felt in the moment, it was so powerful and so clear. And even behind that, I had gone through severe postpartum depression with each of my children. And so this real weight had descended on me. It was undiagnosed. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know it was possible. I didn't understand why I felt so unfamiliar to myself. And I was in that state very unfamiliar to my husband. And so he didn't know how to help. He just didn't know what was wrong with me. And that happened for like 9 months to a year after each child. And to some degree, I think that it went on for about 10 years. That you get postpartum for a long time. And as a result, when I began to do this, my kids were toddlers. And so it was light. I could see, I could get above the surface of the water for the first time in years. But then I would go back down. And when I went back down into the normal state of mind, I would be so angry. And the anger had a real power. And to some degree, the anger felt really good. And it was so harmful. But I felt alive. And I felt I had a power again. But the problem was that I was extending this power with anger at my kids to pick up or to go to bed or whatever it was. It was awful. And so it was this strange paradox, of really absolutely understanding that my survival required light. And yet when I got the light, I became destructive. And there was so much shame and so much confusion. And I went to Hopkins and saw a leading women's health doctor there. And she said, if you don't deal with this right, you're going to destroy your family, which just added more pressure to how I was feeling. But there was something about the practice that was really calling me. And every time I did it, I would get upset. And I was being in a training at the time, and I was told that I was going to lead a workshop and teach other people Kundalini Yoga. And that terrified me because I did not want to teach this to other people. And in the room with me, they felt fantastic. And then later on, they went home and they were destructive and they blamed themselves. And maybe they didn't even make the connection between the change in their energy and then the outcome and the output and the way they were expressing it when they went home. I needed what I was offering to feel safe. And so I needed to be my own experiment. So for some of you, I'm recommending bandhas. I'm recommending that gathering, and that's an integration of the energy going through you, giving it order, giving it clarity. But when you give it order, it will get, there's a strength, okay? So if you feel there's a little tension and you know already that doing that really has a charge to you, your work first is clearing, okay? Your work first is clearing and softening and loving and receiving. I could not use bandhas at the beginning. They just made it worse. They just charged me, and it made it more difficult to do what I wanted to do in the practice. So in that, I needed to get more familiar. I needed to get softer. I needed to welcome this as an opportunity to heal, right? And that meant some real quiet, some very small things, some real femininity. I was a trained athlete. I was a varsity heptathlete, pentathlete. I had stress fractures and torn rotator cuffs and all the good things that go along with that, and the drive of some strange overachieving. All of those stories of your life are in your body. All of those stories are in the relationship between you and what you expect of yourself. And what you expect of yourself is then pushed through your joints. So we must pause as you come into this, and as we set out into this adventure of every day together. We begin with awareness. What's the story I'm bringing through my body? So I'm healing athleticism. I'm healing despair. I'm allowing light. I'm allowing femininity. I'm allowing guidance. But maybe you're looking to allow order. And maybe you are coming from a very unstable place, and the stability is calling you, and the integration is calling you. Maybe you've been practicing a while and you want to feel what it's like to engage. That is fantastic. So each of those choices, whether you're releasing old stories or whether you're building a greater power, will elevate your frequency. And that's what we want. Base frequency is big and long. That's from the navel down is your lower triangle. This is the base body, the practical, the present day, the illness, the tight hip, the taxes, the kids. This is your present mortal finite body. Raising our frequency, raising our awareness. We come into the breath, right? Well, first we come into action, but we're just going to go a little quickly here. We're going to come into the breath, into the heart. We're looking to love. We're looking to love because that frequency is wholly different from what gets our taxes done. And as you come into love, you come into a sense of being loved. And that upper triangle love is one without boundary, one without limit, and one without any need to receive something from you in order for you to be given love, which has been the story with our parents and our families so long. So again, your stories that you bring to the practice will surface, and your awareness of those stories are how you're going to make your way through this elevated frequency. So I get to a place where as a mother, I am just a person trying to raise another person to know himself, herself. I'm trying to know myself. And I look at that and I say, my parents are simply people trying to find their way. And then I can love everybody in every direction very differently, far more freely. And that parental love, the unconditional, complete acceptance, that comes from a higher source. That I provide to myself. I am not looking for the approval of my parents. This is not how I elevate my frequency. I'm looking for freedom. So that my story is one that I am available to love of all kinds. External and internal. That's mine. That's my work. It's not that I want my mom to be different and love me differently. It's that I want to open to the great source of love and light that surrounds me at all times, so she's free and I can help her work through her stories and she can help me work through mine. Very different, very clean, very bright. Very different. Elevate your frequency, right? Right here, we're elevating the frequency, the story of our communication. What we say and what we hear, how we say it, how we hear it, that changes everything else. If I feel abandoned and alone, out of sorts, that will show up in my practical life. That will become even more low energy. If I feel supported and guided, if I have a sensation of prayer or intention of opening my body, of showing up for my practice, my story is very different. It might be difficult now, but I'm making my way forward. That's a different story. That's an elevated story. It has more power. We're changing the frequency. So now, given that that's what's happening in the practice, our story arrives with us. Our job is to elevate and clear our stories. As we do, using the practice, getting free and getting strong, we're going to rise through different levels. And that's where it's called the emotional guidance scale. That's when this becomes important. And so if you look at that, each of those emotions has a different level of energy. And the place at 0 energy, fear, grief, desperation, despair, powerlessness. Postpartum is completely described right there. Or great grief is described right there. Great loss. When you are on the floor, there is nowhere to go. There is no energy. There is no solution. That's where we start. So anything, unworthiness or guilt, means you have now begun to participate. So one level up, you're insecure. And you're insecure, why? Because you have a little bit of juice. And what if it goes away? I'll go back down. So insecurity is actually a step up from that flat grief, fear, desperation place. So if I begin moving and all of a sudden I feel unworthy, that's fine. Unworthiness means I'm having a glimpse of what worthy could be. Fabulous. Keep going. Jealousy. I look around and I'm like, why do you have worthiness and I don't? I'm beginning to activate my awareness. I'm not just stuck in myself. I can see out. I can become enraged. I can have hatred. And that rage and that hatred has a power. So we stay. And this is where it shows up, when we stay and we do things that have this charge. And you may feel that. And you may feel rage or you may feel hatred. Tantra teaches us that inside all things is divinity. So inside that great charge of hatred is a great charge of light. And we deepen our breathing and we strip the story off of it. We stay with it, we soften it. Maybe you're moving your fingertips because it's what you can handle. But that rage, we stay, we transform it, and it goes up a notch. It may feel scary to feel rage, especially as a mom. I felt like such a failure, but I was not on the floor anymore. And I keep going. And I write, and I run outside, and you can bang on a pillow, and you can at least express to the people around you, to a friend, to a family, a sibling, a lover, I'm moving forward. Can you feel my rage? I'm coming alive. Can you feel this? It's not at you, it's coming through me. Stay with me. I'm healing. If someone could have said that to me. And then we get discouraged because we step back. We don't want to harm anybody. No one else should feel what we're feeling. And we get discouraged and we step back. But the discouragement is still a step up because it has care in it. You feel that? You are so wise. The best bit is that they're 22 and right in the middle at 11 is being overwhelmed. And you think, okay, I've come up off the floor, I've gone through all this, but it really doesn't feel like it's getting any better. And I can't do it anymore. And I can't articulate it anymore, and I'm scared of going to my practice. What if it doesn't get better? That has power. Overwhelmed has power. When you're overwhelmed, now we can touch the bandhas a little more clearly. And you begin to make some order, and you give that overwhelm a little bit of order. And you turn it into power. And then it might slow down, and then you get frustration, and you get irritated, and now you got to stay with it, and you get impatient. Okay, I've been here, I've gone through all these steps, it's just like, where is joy? Keep going. Again, turn to people and say, you feel how impatient I am? Like at the grocery store? This is not just going to show up on your mat where it's just you and it's all organized and tidy. This is going to be everywhere. And you're going to know it, and you're going to be okay. And you're going to print this out, and you're going to stick it on your wall, and you're going to say, I'm making progress. I'm a beautiful whole soul, and I'm making progress. You're going to tell people, and they're going to say, keep going, because after this, you might get pessimistic because it's not working. It feels just like you're stuck again, but you're not. And the best place is boredom. Well, here we are doing this again. Awesome. Boredom is better than fear and grief. Boredom is better than hatred and anger. It has a clarity to it. In your boredom, if you can be bored here, and that's the worst thing you experience, that is a powerful thing. Because boredom is just focusing your mind. Boredom is not overwhelm. It is not distraction. It's the beginning of concentration. Okay? Because then we can find contentment. If you can be content with your boredom, I'm bored, how lovely. Here I am, bored. Then comes contentment. Then comes hope. I can do that and not get angry. It's working. I can be optimistic that I can add other things into my practice. I can share it with other people. I can have positive expectation that when I sit down and I do this, I know it comes. I know it comes. I know it's there. I know there's light. There's relief. There's enthusiasm. There's eagerness. There's happiness. All of that wants to share what you're doing. It becomes passion. And then we become joyous, empowered, and free. If I had known this, it is not in any Kundalini training I have ever encountered My training and my yoga has been kept inside of me, and I have not taught at my full capacity because I weave together so many things. And you put them up and you get the beautiful trolls that go and say, you're not teaching it right. This isn't the tradition. I am teaching from the tradition, but I am adding modern research, new conversations, and the path forward that has made my life one of light. I will do everything I can to make this safe for you, even at a distance, because there is no distance between us. It's not possible. We are not separate. So what I know is yours to know. Bring your whole self every day. Be kind. Be wise. Change your stories. Be fidgety. Be forgiving. And we will practice on. Replay this when you need it. Everything I mention, I will put up as a thumbnail on that resource page. And then the job is yours. What resonates with you, look into it further. That's all I've done. You want to know where it comes from? Ask me. Some of it will be mine. Some of it will be teachers. Some of it will be books. Some of it will be podcasts. I am an eternal student. I am here to learn and I am here to lead. And we are here. And it is mine and it is yours. Be safe, my loves. And know that you are light. Satnam, I see myself. Namaste, I see you.